All right, so let's take a look to see what's happening in the markets today. And today is Tuesday, June 15th. We're doing it so that you know what's going on. And with me in the studio is my head coach, Markus. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning, Markus.
Well, looking at the markets, let's start with yesterday because yesterday both the S&P 500 and also the NASDAQ made new record highs. So that's good, I guess. Waiting for the
Yeah,
Fed meeting. And the path of least resistance seems to be going up. The Dow actually closed a little bit lower yesterday, but both S&P and NASDAQ, I mean, this year is pretty impressive, the rebound from NASDAQ this year, well, over the past couple of months.
yeah, and that's tied to the 10-year yield. 10-year yield on Friday made 3-month lows. So with the yield coming down a little bit, interest rates not putting that pressure on growth stocks, we've seen that shift back to growth stocks. That's driving the NASDAQ higher. So without any other, you know, potential news out there interfering with that move. NASDAQ drifting higher, closing at a record high ahead of the Fed statement this week.
Yeah. But this morning, we had quite a few news coming out this morning. So, several major economic reports. Let's run through these.
Yeah, so we had PPI data, and this is the producer price index. And for the last 12 months, the PPI is up 6.6%, which is the largest increase in this, in the PPI history. It was first recorded back in November of 2010, so it's not something that's been tracked for decades, but it's the biggest increase that we've seen
Yeah, and
individually.
just to put it in perspective, so last week we talked about the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, and here now we are talking about the PPI, the Producer Price Index, and this measures how prices have increased for producers. And I mean, obviously, eventually they will pass this on to the consumer. So this is kind of an early gauge to see what is happening, what we can expect next month when the CPI report is being released. So this basically means inflation is still heating up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, for the month of May, PPI was up 0.8% versus a forecast of 0.5%. Core PPI 0.7% versus 0.5%. So, bottom line, prices are increasing for producers and consumers, and that's trickling down. And like you said, it could be a uh, forewarning of things to come. So, let's see what
Yeah.
the Fed says.
And then we also had retail sales being released, and retail sales came in weaker than expected, right?
Yeah, this has been interesting because retail was pretty good early on this year, and even in retail earnings, we saw a lot of positive earnings from retail, but a bit of a disappointment. Core retail sales down 0.7% versus a forecast of an increase of 0.4%. So, some disappointing retail sales numbers.
Right, and so let's see how the market is reacting to this. I want to switch over to let's just go to the S&P 500 and a 5-minute chart. And so the initial reaction, as expected, is to the downside. So this here, a 5-minute chart, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, just markets are really flat right now heading into the open. So futures not doing a whole lot. And again, I think the key right now is just how is the Fed going to interpret this, right? The Fed statement tomorrow, the Fed is not expected to raise interest rates, but the real key here is wording and if they're going to discuss tapering and whether they're addressing the rise in prices and inflation, or if they're just going to kind of shrug it off.
Yeah, and this where I mean, yesterday Paul Tudor Jones. I mean, he's a billionaire hedge fund manager, and he said that this Fed meeting could be the most important Fed meeting in the career of Chairman Jerome Powell, and because he said if the Fed ignores inflation and doesn't address it, exactly what you said, he would go all in on inflation trades and buying gold and buying Bitcoin and buying commodities like crazy. So, I mean, he said the Fed has to address it, that we have still inflation and that this might not be just transitory as they insisted on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in because you don't want to rock the boat and you want to really, see the data tell you that this is something that needs to be worried about. Of course, there's supply chain issues, there's transportation issues, there's a shortage of truck drivers, cargo ships getting into ports in California, Long Beach, and Los Angeles. There's all of these bottlenecks that are taking place. But the question is this just a shift from the pandemic world and some minor things that will resolve themselves over time, or is this a major issue that the Fed needs to take care of right now before it gets worse?
Yeah, I want to look at a few commodities here because we just talked about it. Paul Tudor Jones says, I will go all in on commodities. Here, I'm bringing up lumber because, lumber prices are now below 1,000 for the first time since March. So we know that lumber has been soaring, adding, $36,000 to the cost of a new home. But now they are down 40%. Since May's record high here, which was at 1,700. So, this means lumber is going down. Let's take a look at a few other commodities here. Just want to look at corn. Corn's still pretty high. What else? Soybeans was another one that was actually pretty high. It's coming down. So it seems that commodity prices are decreasing. The biggest one here being lumber.
And that's a good sign because that's a big drop from where we were before. When you have $36,000 added to the cost of a new home just because of wood, that's a big deal. But that drop is a good sign. I know my pool guy, he raised prices on me for the first time because of the chlorine shortage. Yeah, but then again, if there's a chlorine, fire at a plant in Louisiana that supplies like 70% of all chlorine for the country, that is another issue, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But let's also take a look at crude oil prices, and I'm switching to a weekly chart here because crude oil prices, they hit their highest level in more than 2 years yesterday. So yesterday they were trading definitely trading above 70s, very solid here. And as we can see, actually April, when crude oil went negative, crude oil futures here for a moment. This is why we have this weird blip. But ever since, they have been increasing, as we can say. So higher demand, still lower output for crude oil prices. And crude oil prices, they will actually drive production costs higher, right? These are energy prices.
They will, but at the same time, OPEC wants to just pump out some crude oil. So I think that could change pretty quickly. We'll see. This bounce or this rally in crude oil is no surprise to me.
No, of course.
On the pandemic.
Yeah, I think the TSA said at airports last week or over the weekend, they had the highest number of travelers with 2 million screened in a day. So, travel demand is back. People are now commuting to their offices again. More and more offices are open. Big companies have said, okay, come back to offices. Some said don't, but most companies do. So, no surprise there. No surprise there that we have higher crude oil price. Let's see if the OPEC can stabilize it here, maybe around 70 to 80, which would be pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some individual stocks. Got to talk about AMC. I want to see what AMC is doing today because today is officially AMC Day. I don't know what that means, but there is a hashtag that says AMC Day. Have you heard about this?
So I have
that
not.
Everybody is supposed to buy AMC?
I have not heard of this day.
So there's a hashtag AMC Day. So AMC yesterday, another big day, 15% up. This morning up 3%. So this is still supposed to go to the moon. to 100,000 per share. We shall see. What are the other meme stocks doing? Just curious. So let's take a look at GME. Okay, GameStop yesterday down. So GameStop not too hot right now. BlackBerry also yesterday down 1%. This
Yeah.
morning down pre-market. What was the other one? Clover that recently popped up. Oops, also down 2.5%. And then what else did we have? Oh, Clean Energy, CLNE. Also, yesterday only up 3%. This morning up 6%. It seems that the focus is now AMC.
Yep.
So
Yep, I noticed that yesterday.
back to that. All right. Any other stocks that are moving this morning?
Vroom, ticker VRM, is moving. Last I saw it, it was down more than 6% pre-market. This is because they say that they have plans to offer $500 million in convertible senior notes. This is a used vehicle platform, and when a company offers convertible senior notes, it's to raise money easily when they might not have the credit to do so in other fashions. And it also means that those people who are buying those convertible bonds can convert it to stock shares down the road. So that would delete the shares. So that makes sense that they're dropping on that.
They're down. By the way, I recently heard that the average car in the US is now 12.1 years old.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Because we have talked about this. I mean, used car prices have gone through the roof. It's almost impossible to get a rental car anywhere. There's this private company, Turo. Have you heard about it? It's like Airbnb for cars. So it's an app on your phone, and this is how you can rent cars. And I mean, they are booming right now, where people are renting out their own private cars because it's so expensive to rent a car anywhere.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
The rental companies, they're in a bit of a pickle. They don't have the cars to rent, and so in some places you're looking at $500 a day for a car.
That is crazy. That is crazy. All right. Any other stocks that moved this morning?
Let's see. There, Sage Therapeutics. This was interesting. I didn't look into this too much, but the ticker SAGE, they were down over 10%. And it's interesting because they say that their experimental depression drug treatment resulted in significant improvement in symptoms. So there must have been something that investors didn't like with that statement, because you would think that would be a good thing.
I looked into this because it says that it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks before this drug kicks in. So it's not very effective right away.
Okay.
And there was also something else. So it was like, okay, they have released a depression drug, but it's not what everybody expected. I mean, here's what we're expecting with drugs, right? I mean, it's like ibuprofen. You pop a pill and you're feeling better. And here when they say, well, you got to pop pills for 4 to 6 weeks and then maybe you're feeling better. So this is why investors are saying, that's not what we wanted to hear.
Possibly. Okay.
Anyhow, hey, we have to jump over into our mastermind Zoom meeting because we're trading with our mastermind live the whole week. I hope you enjoyed this quick stock market update so that you know what is going on in the markets right now, what investors are focusing on. If you like this, give us a like. And if you want to see us again, click on subscribe, hit the little notification bell, because this way you get notified whenever we go live. Okay, have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.